Factory in a box is an assembly kit for a pharmaceutical factory. Everything fits inside a container. You can send it anywhere in the world. It's quick, it's efficient, it doesn't require fantastic skill levels. Good disciplined engineers can put together this factory with simple tools and simple techniques, and it will meet the highest quality standards. The Front-End Factory project is about trying to find solutions to problems. One of the problems that came in was, how do we deliver multiple factories, pharmaceutical factories, in places where there wasn't good capability, particularly today, and there were some problems in terms of construction and delivery of high quality facilities. How do you do that a number of times and do it really well? So this problem went into the Front-End Factory, and we had a number of meetings about it, and actually the whole idea of a factory in a box came out of one particular meeting when I stood up with a pen in my hand and I drew a shed, and then inside the shed I drew a box and said, okay, this is just a normal shed which we can put up quite quickly, and then inside is a box, and inside that box is where all the clever pharmaceutical things happen, and then everything else just feeds simply into that box. So having decided that we had an idea, a concept for Factory in the Box, the question was, what do we do next? And rather than give this a go and on a live project first time in a remote part of the world, we decided that the best thing to do would be to test it. So we came up with the idea of a beta build. The beta build is just a test build. How can we test the components and make sure that they're going to work when we do it for real?
Factory in a Box has been a very interesting exercise from our perspective, because it's really enabled us to completely rethink the construction process from first principles. Beta building is an attempt to take a relatively sophisticated building type, clean room environment, and turn it into a step-by-step assembly process. The construction you see behind me is actually started life at the level of the factory floor, so it effectively allowed us to assemble it with the kind of efficiencies one would use in a normal factory environment, not a building site environment, and that allowed us then to build at speed and build with accuracy and quality, and then after that that whole platform was lifted into its final position, which is roughly 3 metres above the ground, within a few hours, using hydraulic jacks and effectively a ratchet system that operates on the sides of the column, and then it was lifted into different levels at which people could work at the optimum height. So things could be done at low level, work could be done just underneath the ceiling within easy reach, and then things could finally be done, for example, the installation of the wall panels when the platform was at its final level.
It's not just about a few clever people coming up with an idea. It's about bringing together a number of companies who can make component parts cost effectively, but all these component parts will then come together to deliver the end Factory in a Box solution. So the partners we chose were Crown PS to make the steel structure, Easy Space, who made the containerised changing room, Quickway, who made the shed, and Gilchrist, who did the hygienic panelling system.
Gilchrist's involvement in Factory in the Box has been the initial design phases of the whole project. We got involved with for all the GRP space. We helped with some testing of the panels, a particular challenge being the ceiling panels, and then we went on to the manufacture.
Crown Services produced the steel fabrications, structural steel that the entire frame is built upon. We also done the bracketry that holds the ceilings and a lot of the services, as well as containerising the steelwork for shipping down here and lending assistance for the erection of the structure.
The next piece for me was then about, well, if you're going to put a factory on the ground quite quickly, how would we expand it? because what you want to do is put the smallest thing on the ground that you could possibly do, and then as that market grew and you got more confidence in it, you'd extend the factory. So how could you do that while retaining the really good production flows through the facility? And we came up with the idea that something had to give. You had to be able to move something as the factory grew, and we came up with the idea of moving the changing room.
Easyspace were tasked with supplying a full GMP spec change module that bolts onto the beta build that you've probably seen in there. What we've taken is a standard 20-foot shipping container, and we've adapted it, as you can probably see, to a clean room environment for people to get changed into. We was involved in the design stage from a very early part, about 5 months, right from conception of the design right through to the very end, until you see the final unit we have here.
The factory in a box provides flexibility, adaptability in terms of the GSK business, but one of the key challenges they have is minimising capital expenditure whilst being able to put footprint down in difficult places around the world. It also changes the way that construction is delivered. We've used a multi-skill gang here of ex-Gurkha engineers, and really they've been fantastic in terms of exploring and testing new ways of working and looking at minimising interface challenges.
Our part in this project is really doing the build. So FSI has mobilised a team of multi-skilled operatives and a project manager to actually receive the equipment and then bring it into this warehouse and actually put it together.
And most of the operatives were Gurkha engineers. They're used to working in an environment where they work as a team and they understand, similar to these projects they did in the army.
I think the concept that we're trialling, or pioneering if you like, is the concept of a multi-skilled team. So amongst the team there is a plumber, there is a surveyor, there is a painter and a finisher. But they're not just here to do that particular painting and finishing. They've come together as a group to problem solve and build something which none of them have built before and none of them are specialists in.
I think the whole concept of factory in a box is a great idea. The off-site modular construction is a much more controlled environment from both health and safety right the way through to quality assurance. It's very difficult when working outside of the UK and inside the UK to produce something to a very high standard. The whole concept of factory in a box, that it can be built in a monitored condition and then shipped abroad as a full working factory is a fantastic idea.
My aspirations for the future are now to deploy this multiple times, not just as complete factories in remote parts of the world, but also we're looking at individual parts of the components which we can put into what we would have done traditionally in the UK. So we're looking at projects in the UK now to see how we can deploy these components. And the benefit of that is that they will get massive cost certainty, so we'll really understand how much it costs, but also it will help us deliver much more quickly and to a much more standard quality.
Gilchrist Manufacturing would love to be involved in this project and similar projects going forward. I mean, we've come a long way with the concept now for the ceiling and the raisable ceiling, the whole factory in a box concept, and the hope has got to be that that can be developed further and used on a larger scale to make a great difference all over the world.
I hope that Factory Box will form one of the generic systems that will go towards effectively revolutionising the construction process in the UK and hopefully further afield as well. If the benefits can be demonstrated and delivered within Factory in the Box, it's a reasonably small mental step to providing systems for residential, hospital, healthcare, and many other facilities that form a very important part of the built infrastructure.
You know, our motto was easier than IKEA, basically, for delivering this, and that was what we're trying to achieve. And I think, in lots of ways, we have succeeded in that.
Ultimately, for me, this was about starting to change construction. And I think not only can we deploy this in GSK in multiple arenas, both in emerging markets, but also changing the way we do projects in the UK. But I'm really hoping that I can get the message out to the construction industry that there are different ways to do things, and companies like GSK want to see that change.